Welcome to the Coaches Show on 90.1 KBPK. I'm Danny Sunoco, also with Javier Quiron and Ryan Osborne. It's track and field. It's a wonderful season for the sport, and along with the sport comes interviews from our own Coach Shiel.
So we are here with Sean Shiel, one of the coaches here for the track and field team here on campus. And Coach, you know, in the meets so far that you guys have had, how would you rate your team's performance to this point?
To this point, we're pretty happy. There's only been a couple of meets. A lot of our kids coming out of high school were good athletes. They're definitely like track and are very interested. They weren't great athletes, which is what you get a lot of here. We get a few diamonds in the rough, but the best part is they're very, very positive. They worked hard throughout the fall, so a lot of the fall training kids, when they finally get to have a meet in the spring, they're very excited, so they were waiting a long time. So things are going very well. Our team's not real big. Post-COVID, it's been tough to get kids on campus. Hopefully that's going to change with everything opening up. But so far, very pleased.
Coach, the first time that you got to really get to know your team as one of the head coaches here on campus, we got to talk to you before and talked a little bit about what legacy you'd like to have here at Fullerton College. How would you say that's progressed to this point?
Well, as a competitive person, I would want more winning, of course, but it's always been, you know, I'm in my 25th year of coaching, and the priority at community college that we're most proud of is how many degrees, how many transfers, how many kids go on, whether it's a bachelor's degree or a certification or work, as long as they are successful and happy, that we get them through and they move on. That's what I'm most proud of. One thing about cross country and track, it's not like basketball, baseball, football. These kids aren't going to really be making any money in this sport. So it's very important that they go to school and get the degree. And the best part is there's an advantage to being in the sport is that they get recruited to universities. So it opens up a lot of opportunities for them. So as far as legacy goes, I'm more proud of that. Would I like to see more medals and winning? Of course, but the priority is their futures and their careers.
I mean, you mentioned that 25 years worth of coaching at minimum. When you see a player that you talk to from the very beginning, first interaction with them, versus when they have that opportunity to move on, to transfer, and you see how they progressed as a person, does it give you that sense of program pride?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, you're bringing up a really good point where it's hard at community college is that we only have them for 2 years max. Whereas at high school, it's 4 years, and that if they go straight to university, 4 years. So if anything, you almost get a little emotional. You have them 2 years, you finally got them where you want them, and now they're leaving. So that part can be tough. But yeah, it's the best is when they tell me they're going somewhere, or you know they signed, or coaches call me and want to talk to them. It's great.
You mentioned the different, we'll say, aspects between track and field and like baseball, softball, basketball. In those types of sports, you have an immediate, we'll say, feedback from teammates where you go, okay, you got teammates on the bench, they're talking to people who are on the court, on the field. But track and field, each person has their different event or speciality. How do they support each other while having different events?
Well, it's a good point. There's 20 events, so there is definitely some separation of what is required, and which is why we have different coaches. However, in off season, we do a lot of things together because it's a lot of fitness-based and endurance things. So we warm up together. We have social events together. We have team meetings. A lot of them, since they're local, they knew each other in high school anyway, so that works really well. But yeah, that actually can be a challenge because the events are so varied. You know, you have somebody throwing a discus versus somebody hurdling versus somebody running, 10,000 meters. That to me is the best part of it, though, is how different their practices are, and they have an appreciation for what the other guys are doing. So it can become compartmentalized where they're separated a lot, but we all travel together. We're all at meets together. We all hang out and eat and drink together, and they get along very well. And that's one of the best parts. Like I said, after 25 years. When you're younger, it's all about competition, but when you get older, having a team that gets along and gels well together and everything, you appreciate that quite a bit.
As a coach, you know that you yourself have that speciality that you're used to, but also having to expand to those different events that maybe you yourself didn't compete in, but now you find yourself having to coach. What is it like going through that transition?
It's hard. That's something that years of experience. So you can go to school all you want for this thing, but this is definitely a sport where hands-on, or actual what you call a lab situation. You learn from other coaches. It can be tough because most coaches are very autocratic. They're single-minded, and they think they're better than everyone else. So you have to be very open-minded and realize that you can learn quite a bit from other coaches. I was mostly runner hurdler, so I have a little bit of mix, distance and all that, but technical things like throws, of course, we have Coach Bevick, who's the expert in that. I'd have a very hard time coaching that. I can do the most basic rudimentary of it, but that's why you have, assistant coaches, the jumps, things like that. And you have an appreciation for the technical events, versus just the straight fitness events. So, yeah, time, a swallowing of your ego, and a softening of your, just years of experience. Realize the more help you have, the better.
With this next meet that's coming up, what is one thing that you'd like to see your team improve on going into this one?
Well, simply all around is everybody just getting better in their particular events. This one we're going to be at Long Beach City, which will be exciting for them because it's going to predominantly be all community college athletes. So it will be people they face quite a bit. The week after that is Orange Coast, which will be even more so because that'll be mostly conference schools, and Orange Coast is our conference. And they're very competitive. They want to know who's in the conference. They want to know who they're going against. So, in all areas, we're just trying to go like this, get better, and they know the marks they need for conference and the regional, the Southern Cal, and that's what we're shooting for.
Coach, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Best of luck in this meet.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
So we are here with Coach Gina Bevick. And Coach, we've talked in the past about legacy, maybe about student athletes, also how they've had an impact in not only your life, but here at Fullerton College as well. When you look at how the world has changed recently and how communication with students has changed recently, how do you keep in touch with your student athletes coming out of a post-pandemic world?
Well, thank you very much for having me here today, first of all. And just keeping in touch is just checking in with the athletes every day. How you doing? How's your family life? What's going on there? So, and then obviously, is there any student, concerns that we need to work on? Coming out of the pandemic, so used to being online, now we have face-to-face classes. So it's just checking in, making sure that they're doing okay, staying on top, being the person to say, hey, just keep doing what you were doing in high school. As far as keeping up with your homework and your tasks at hand, basically.
Getting to see the athletes back out here and getting to be able to have that feedback, coach to player, how has it been like to get that transition back to, hey, finally getting them back here in person?
Well, it's been exciting. I think everyone is just excited to come back, first of all. So it's just coming to seeing real friends again and seeing everybody in person. They missed each other, and we missed them. So coming back has been rather an easy thing, and then it's just the transition of getting them back into their routine again.
Coach, when you look at your specialties in terms of events for track and field, how do you make sure that these students kind of, we'll say, dial in and focus if it's their first year competing at the college level?
Well, coming into, for instance, the throws. So they've done the shot and the disc at the high school level, but now I'm introducing the hammer and the javelin to them. So it's just working fundamentals. It's doing that off-season preparation. So then when we come into season, they've already had that off-season training, being able to teach them what is the basics of each of those events. And every meet is just learning more about that event, learning more about where their strength is. I get excited when, they improve a foot, they improve 5 feet, whatever it is. But what I get more excited about is that their technique looks really, really good. So it's just using every meet to prepare them, but to say, you know what, don't worry about that other person. This is where you are right now, and it's going to count at the end of the season to go ahead, and you have the tools. You're just taking the process of step by step.
Coach, one of the things that has always baffled me about coaching staffs is the ability to look at a person and say, okay, you did that right, but here's a better way to do it technically sound that will improve you later. How do you, as a coach, kind of get those coaching techniques down and say, okay, I'm looking at a student athlete, they're really good, but I know this one thing that they can change that'll make them be elite, be even better. How do you do that as a coach?
I do that as a coach is to make it fun for them. And I bring out that fun side with them. And through that, they get a little bit more relaxed. They're not so uptight. They start to understand their technique a little bit more. They see the success in that. And so I always get that inner strength, what you were talking about with them, from using that fun side with them.
Have you ever noticed a high schooler who might have been that introvert, wasn't really sure how they can communicate with their teammates or their coaching staff when they first enter, and then they finish off as a leader on your team?
Yes, I have. In fact, we have quite a few introverts coming out of this pandemic. So I feel that sports is a way to get them back to being that, bubbly person that they were before. And you're using every competition, you're using the practices, they're interacting, and you bring that to their attention, saying, you know what, you did a great job today. I saw you, be more interactive. I saw you give good feedback to your other teammates. So it's just, the sport is bringing that back in that student athlete for sure.
In this new world, social media has, we'll say, had a boom in athletics. How do you use social media to not only engage the students, but maybe also grow the athletes and events that you're representing?
Well, we have Instagram, so we've been really hitting that big, showing them what the Hornet, track and field has been doing in the weight room here at meets, so they can see that, yes, you too can come and compete at this level. And we're just having fun. We're just trying to create a good family environment here, and just bring out the most in them, whatever the goal is for that student athlete.
I mean, when you mention the student athletes, one person who we're going to highlight here in just a couple moments on the show is Maui, and how well she's done for your program. What has been her biggest asset so far in this season?
Her biggest asset has been just her overall strength. I mean, she came in just being a shot putter. She knows how to throw the javelin, how to throw the hammer, how to throw the discus, and then really improving upon her shot put technique. So it's her overall strength that has got her to be successful to where she is right now, but she's put in the off-season work, and it's really starting to show off, and it's starting to pay. So she's really been, as we call, Hornet strong in that event.
Well, Coach, thank you very much for talking to us on the show. Speaking of Maui, Javier Giron is going to talk to her right now.
This is the Coaches Show on 90.1 KBBK. I'm Daniel Sunoco. I'm here today interviewing Chris Foster. So, Chris, how's it like running track here at Fullerton College?
It's pretty good. I like the environment here as well. It's a nice, small team, but we all know each other very well, so it's awesome. Yeah.
Okay, and then how would you say would be the culture here at the actual school?
Right now, I really don't know because we all just got back from the COVID and stuff. But honestly, I like it because more people are coming into in-person classes, so it's nice, yeah.
And then you did mention you are from Royal High School out in Simi Valley. So what made you choose to come here?
Family, and then also I like football here. Like the football program was nice here as well, but then also the track program here is good as well. So that made me want to come here.
So for track, most of the time there are dual athletes that do run another sport compared to track. So would you say you enjoy being a dual athlete over at Royal High School more than just being a full-time track athlete?
That's a good question, actually. I do like being a dual athlete, but right now I feel like personally sticking with one sport is way better than doing dual.
So compared to high school and college, what would you say would be the main difference in terms of like mental preparation as well as physical preparation?
Mental preparation in high school is mainly like, it's kind of the same really. It depends how you feel about yourself. Like if you think you are the best, then you prepare like you're going to be the best. But in college, really, you got to be humble and be okay with getting second and third, or last, and just try to do your best to get first and reach state. That's the goal.
And then in terms of physical preparation, I understand you do run the 4x4, the 4x1, as well as doing the triple jump and the long jump. What would you say would be the main difference in terms of physical preparation leading up to the track meet for each individuals?
The 4x4 is scary. You basically run a whole lap, and then at the last end of the 300, the last 100, it's basically mental preparation. So just working on your form and hoping that you're going to make it through and just keep pushing. And then as well as the long jump and triple jump, it's just muscle memory in your legs, and so remembering how to correct each step when you're jumping and stuff like that.
And then so I understand you have been doing track for a while. I mean, you mentioned about 5 years or so.
Yeah.
So what would you say would be the greatest factor? Like, what would you say would have been the best presence for your career so far?
I would say, honestly, making friends in high school, but in track, but really going to CIF finals my last year.
And who would you say would have been like the best influence on you so far, or best influences?
Here in Fullerton?
Or just in general?
I would say like a counselor back in high school, like Dr. Burton, that's his name. And then also Coach Francisco here, he's a cool guy as well. And also all the coaches as well, they're good at what they do, and they make everybody push to do what they need to do.
Well, this has been the Coaches Show on 90.1 KBBK. I'm Daniel Tinoco, and we would like to thank Chris Foster for this interview.
Good afternoon, my name is Javier Giron, and I'm here with Malik Miranda, track and field star here at Fullerton College. Malik, what would you say is your training for track and field?
My training consists of cardio and a lot of strength conditioning as well. In and out of the weight room every day, and I go to the gym on my own time as well every day. A lot of weightlifting for sure. Mm-hmm.
When you started track and field, what did you think it was?
What did I think it was? I thought it was gonna be like not so much weightlifting. I thought it was gonna go like hand in hand with cardio. It's not so much cardio, but that's still important as well. Definitely a lot of weightlifting, upper body strength, leg strength, all of that for sure, yeah.
Would you say that your throwing mechanics set for like a shot put or anything like that is the same like as a quarterback in football?
Kinda. I would say javelin is definitely kind of the same as football, because the quarterback, it's like a penultimate, and it's like 3 steps back and like a penultimate to throw, and it's all in the hips. Whereas like hammer wouldn't really correlate too much with football, because it's all about kind of lifting it, and shot put would kind of correlate with hammer as well, not so much like a quarterback style, but javelin definitely would.
Great. Is there any other sports that you've played before you entered track and field?
Yeah, I played soccer for about 10 years. I was a mixture of goalie and forward.
Okay. And as goalie, were there any injuries that accidentally happened to you?
Definitely, yeah. I had like 2 concussions from being kneed in the head, and then a girl dove into my back, and I for sure thought I was paralyzed and couldn't move for like a minute or 2. So yeah, those are the injuries that happened to me during soccer.
What is the type of music you listen to when you train?
Shoot, I listen to all kinds of music. I listen to hip hop. I like old school rap, like Tupac, Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube. I love Ice Cube. Honestly, alternative music too. Anything that kind of has like a upbeat to it, it really gets me going and pushes me through my workouts.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you choose track and field?
I chose track and field because in high school, my best friend ran track, and he noticed that people were throwing weights, and he knows, like, I'm built kind of stocky and strong, and he told me, like, hey, you should try throwing. I was a little nervous about it, but I was like, no, I want to try something new. I feel like that'd be good for me. Throwing weights is kind of like easy for me in a way, and I stuck with it since, and I'm glad that I did. And yeah, that's really why I chose track and field. My best friend told me to, and I fell in love with it.
When it all comes down to the wire, do you just throw or do you focus on the throw?
I would say for me, I kind of just throw, because if I focus on it too much, I get in my own head and that throw will be completely messed up. However, if I just go up there and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna let everything sink in where it needs to sink in and I'm just gonna throw, it will be my best throw.
How much time do you have training so far?
I've been training since about August. August of 2021, yes. So that's about like 6 months.
6, 7
Yeah,
months.
6 months, yeah.
Pretty cool. Would you consider yourself a strong, bold person or a person that has a shy inside girl just wouldn't come out?
I would definitely say I'm a strong, bold person. I'm not really too much on the shy side. You see me, you come up to me, I'll talk to you. I'm not shy. And I'm really like straight to the point too. Yeah, I would say I'm a strong, bold person.
Okay. When we were talking, we talked about you going to La Habra High School. You played sports there. What were those sports?
The only sport I played over there was track and field. I started that my junior year. However, my junior year, that's when COVID came and we couldn't do it. So we kind of spent time training for nothing really because of COVID. But then senior year came and crushed it. Yeah.
Cool. Was there any time that any schools offer you scholarships?
I did get offered scholarships, but I never really took them on because I kind of always thought like college wasn't really my thing. But Coach B reached out to me about being on the team, and that's what called my attention over the scholarships, because I wanted to do track and field. That's what really called me.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking the time with us to interview with us, Malila. And
Of course.
have a great day.
Hey, I'm Daniel Tinoco. Today I'm here with Leon Jett. So, Leon, how is it here running track here at Fullerton College?
Running track here at Fullerton College is definitely fun. I enjoy it. It's a good team chemistry, and teammates are very helpful.
What would you say would be like the culture here specifically for the team?
The team has a good culture. They're all friendly. If you have any questions, the team will answer the questions. Any tips you need, they'll help you.
And I understand you were the 2-time Delaware State champion on the 300, right?
Yes, 55 hurdles and
55
300
hurdles.
hurdles.
So how would you say would have been the feeling when you acquired those 2 championships?
It felt really good. It took me 2 years. It took me 3 years to win those 2 titles. I won them my junior year of high school. It took a lot of work and preparation and a lot of extra effort to win those 2 state titles.
And being that you are from Delaware, now you are here in Orange County at Fullerton College, how would you feel would be the main difference between the 2 states?
The weather. California weather is beautiful. Delaware, it snows. I believe 3 weeks ago they got a foot of snow. A foot of snow, yes. So the biggest thing is the weather. At East Coast it rains a lot and then the snow. I don't like the weather, so here it's always sunny. I like the sun and the good weather.
So in terms of preparation, I understand obviously high school and college are completely 2 different animals when it comes to the actual competition. What would you say would be the main difference between the 2 in terms of preparation?
In terms of preparation in high school, you know how like in high school it is like athletes, they do different sports. So in college, they're focusing on that one sport. So if you're running track in college, they're focusing on that sport. They're training every day. In high school, players play basketball, they run track, they play football. So the biggest thing it is in college, like everyone out here that's running the sport knows they're practicing every day because it's their job in college to do so.
So I also understand that you did mention you have been running track since I believe the 6th grade.
Yes.
So being that that is a very long time, who would you say would have been like the greatest influence for you?
I only started track because my brother did track and he also played football. So I would say my brother and my mom, because my mom's family comes from a running background and then my brother did track, so it's my family motivated me to run track. It's good because I stay in shape.
So what would you say would have been like the greatest driving force for your passion towards the sport?
I would say my mom, again, she's a really hard worker. She's my role model in life, so I just like putting in the extra effort that no one puts in, and I believe that if you work hard, you'll accomplish great things. Anything's possible if you work hard. That's just my mindset.
So I do understand that being with the hurdles, there's a certain mark for each hurdle, and I understand it takes an insane amount of focus in order to repeat and rinse and repeat all your steps in order to get over that hurdle. What would you say would have been like the greatest factor in terms of managing to really focus on each particular step?
I'd say tunnel vision. You have to know that you have a hurdle. You have to know that you have a hurdle in front of you, because if you look away, the hurdle's going to come up on you faster than you know it is. So the biggest thing is tunnel vision. Just focus on your lane and then focus on running and going over the hurdle. Your step count's really important, so I try to stay between 14 and 15 steps in between each hurdle, because if your step count's off, then you're going to stutter step when you get to the hurdle.
So I do understand that as of right now in the Orange Empire, you are ranked first, as well as third in regionals and fifth in state. What kind of preparation do you want to have for yourself in order to raise your rank?
I just want to put in the extra effort and time, so I try to work when no one else is working, so I go to the gym like at 8 p.m., 9 p.m. to put in extra effort. I try to do hamstring exercises, hip exercises, squats, so just practicing, and then after I run can ice my legs, do good rehab so that I'm prepared to run at practice each day.
So for being that 400 for the hurdles, it's a very grueling event physically. What kind of physical preparation do you do? Like what leads up to the match?
So prior to my hurdle races, I make sure I get in a good stretch and good plyometrics. So I stretch before my hurdles, and then I do my drills before the hurdles. So high knees, B skips, A skips, butt kicks, side skips, grapevine, and then I warm my hamstrings up, so I stretch my hamstrings, stretch my legs on a hurdle. I do my hurdle drills. I do my one step in between each hurdle. I A-skip the hurdles, so just preparing with the hurdles, getting my legs and body nice and comfy to run.
We would like to thank Leon Jett here for the interview. I'm Daniel Tsunoco, and this has been the Coaches Show on 90.1 KBPK.
So again, we want to thank Coach Shiel, Coach Bevick, and the athletes here at Track and Field for talking with us this week. But it's not the only thing going on campus. At the Hornets' Nest, I heard that there was a big playoff game, which would probably explain why it's empty behind me. All the athletes went scurrying that way. So I'll follow Javier, follow Danny because they took off. I'll scrounge up the eternal student because he's somewhere around here, and we'll all head over to the Hornets' Nest because we've got playoff basketball with Perry Webster. So Fullerton and Mount Sac was the round one matchup, and for Fullerton, they needed Chaz Hutchinson to be big throughout the entirety of this ball game in order for them to win. In the first half, Fullerton had control and Chaz was leading the way. However, after a nice run to end the first half, the Mounties started to make a comeback of their own and had control going into half number 2. Coach Perry Webster had to rally his troops and make sure that being down 6 didn't faze them, not a spot that they were used to, and he changed his coaching style in terms of what they were doing offensively in the second half. Towards about 6 minutes and later, they started going to a different half-court set, getting a lot more penetration and kickouts. Stapp and Newton led the way. Fullerton ended up getting a win over Mount Sac, which leads them to playoff game number 2 this weekend, and we got the opportunity to talk to Coach Perry Webster following the win over Mount Sac.
Yeah, I think that we did a little, we struggled a little bit with number 1 to start the second half. I don't think we came out with the attention to detail that we started the game with. We got to do a better job as we move forward if we want to keep winning, of really locking in and playing 40 minutes on the defensive end. I thought we let it slip too much and let them score too many points.
Coach, Stapp kind of took over in place of Chaz and you needed a secondary scorer. Was that something that you were trying to purposefully go to, or did you just come up with it?
Ronnie's a good player. He's one of the best players in the state. He's very underrated. He can handle the ball. He can make shots. He can do a lot of different things, and he's not scared of the moment. One thing about Ronnie and Kobe is they really believe that they can make the shots that make a difference in a game and help us win. So I'm proud of him, but it's just more of the same for the 60, 65 games that I've coached him.
Coach, congratulations. We look forward to seeing you in the next round.
All right, thanks.
So Fullerton College gets the win over Mount Sac 84-76, and they move on to round 2.
Today we would like to thank the coaching staff along with the Fullerton College athletes here at on the track team for Fullerton College. For Ryan Osborne and Javier Giron, this is Daniel Sunoco on the Coaches Show on 90.1 KBPK.